President Obama and his family took in a tour of Yellowstone National Park yesterday. Historian Doug Brinkley joins us now to talk about presidents in America's national parks. He's the author of the new book, Teddy Roosevelt, Wilderness Warrior. Doug Brinkley, good morning.
Good morning to you, Harry.
Why was Roosevelt so determined to preserve some of America's last great places?
Well, as a kid, he had asthma, and he grew up in New York City, and he found the nature as a curative. He would go to the Catskills and Adirondacks. Later, his mother and wife died on the same day, Valentine's Day, in New York. He grew very dark and despondent, took the train out to the Badlands of North Dakota, and ended up writing a trilogy of books about the ecosystem there, and started believing that the wilderness, wild places, scenic wonders is what distinguished the United States from Europe. True, Britain had Westminster Abbey, but we had Yellowstone. France might have the Louvre, we had the Grand Canyon.
Right. You spoke with President Obama before he embarked on this trip out west. What did you talk about?
Well, there's just a group of historians he had at the White House, and I got to talk a little bit about my book on TR, the Wilderness Warrior. And then I went to the Interior Department and got to speak with Secretary Salazar, who's accompanying the president to these national parks. And they're just very keen for, I think, the American people to know that some of their tax dollars are going to keep these great parks up and running.
If Roosevelt were alive today, what would he think of the state of the parks?
I think he'd be sadly dismayed. In fact, not just our national parks. And incidentally, Harry, we need to it's a great American triumphal success story, the national park system, our forests and monuments. But we have places that still need to be designated parks, like Big Sur, Anwar in Alaska, the North Woods of Maine. I'm sitting here in California in the state parks of California. Arnold Schwarzenegger is about to try to close 50 to 100 of them because he said he doesn't have money. He's going to padlock the state parks of California. So I think hopefully the president's trip and Ken Burns' upcoming documentary are going to remind people that these are our great wonders, that these parks, both national and state, are what makes America really special and great, and that children in particular can find all these sort of wonders by just going to the sea or the mountains or our great rivers.
Interestingly enough, attendance in national parks had been going down for several years. It actually spiked back up against this again because of the recession this year. Do you have any sense whatsoever that there is a national will to pour in the billions of dollars that's so desperately needed to restore the infrastructure in the national parks? And I've only got about 30 seconds left, Doug.
I think we need to have that debate, Harry. Clearly, health care is going to dominate things now, but the answer is yes. For example, we have over 500 wildlife refuges saving these great species and their habitat, yet industrialization is encroaching on them all the time. I think we've just got to preserve what we have. We've got to realize that it is America's best idea, the parks, monuments, and wildlife refuges, and think about what Roosevelt called the generations unborn. These land areas are great heirlooms to future generations.
Doug Brinkley, thanks so much for your thoughts this morning. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Harry.
We'll be right back.